All right, everybody, we are going to get started. I do want to thank you all for joining us today. I am Jake Trinidad here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Today's session is an informational overview on Phase 2 of the New Jersey Zero-Emission Incentive Program, or NJZIP. A quick housekeeping note, we do suspect that many questions will be answered in today's presentation. However, you are able to write in questions at any point during the presentation using Zoom's Q&A feature. It is one of your Zoom command options and will allow us to make sure we are able to get back to you and let others see these questions and answers as well. Today's session will run from 12 to 1 p.m. If there are any further questions at the end of the presentation, please make sure to email njzip@njeda.com. Today's session is being recorded and will be posted on our NJEDA and YouTube pages. The slides and other resources will also be available in the next few days. Now to get us started with the presentation, I will shift things over to NJEDA's Director of Clean Energy Programs, Kevin Lynch. Kevin?
Thank you, Jake. And first of all, I want to thank all the registrants for participating in today's webinar. The webinar will be helpful in walking you through New Jersey ZIP's program, but the timing could not have been better, right? Especially given that the EV industry is facing cross currents from a number of directions. Green inflation, rising electric power prices, the Inflation Reduction Act, and to have a program like New Jersey ZIP is supportive of the state's goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which, as you well know, GHG produces is being one of the highest in the transportation sector. I would like to give you a quick brief background on the governor's goal in terms of reaching net zero by 2050. Part of that goal is to invest heavily in electric vehicle infrastructure, helping to get more EVs on the road through programs like New Jersey ZIP, which is funded through the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, or RGGI. In addition, the governor has committed to getting more of the new and cleaner generation of vehicles in New Jersey's garages and on the roads. So by 2035, every new car, SUV, pickup, and light-duty heavy truck in New Jersey will be zero emissions. Just quickly, I would just like to close by saying how thrilled we are to be launching the second phase of New Jersey ZIP pilot with an additional $45 million in funding to accelerate the adoption and use of zero-emission medium and heavy-duty vehicles within the state of New Jersey. Again, I'd like to thank you for participating, and I'm going to hand it back over to Ms. Barone.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and we'll go. All right. So thanks for the welcome, Kevin. I'm Olivia. I'm a senior project officer on the clean energy team, and I manage NJZIP. So I know we have a mix of both purchasers and vendors, both new and familiar with the program. So we'll be reviewing a number of topics to make sure everyone starts with the same baseline understanding. I'll start with some NJZIP overviews, and then we'll dive into the details of the application. As Jake noted, make sure you're bookmarking the NJZIP website. That will have the most up-to-date information, and we'll be posting a lot there. All right. So what is NJZIP? NJZIP is our zero-emission incentive program, which is a voucher-style, first-come, first-served program. In contrast to our Phase 1, which had a limited rollout in 4 pilot communities, Phase 2 is going to bring our pilot to purchasers statewide. The purpose is to reduce that upfront cost of buying a zero-emission, medium, or heavy-duty vehicle for our New Jersey businesses and institutions, leveraging our RGGI funding. Now we have a total of $45 million with $15 million set aside for our small businesses and $45 million set aside for our overburden community applications. And the applications are going to open on April 18th at 10 a.m. All right. So again, to sort of set some expectations, while a lot of the program requirements are the same, I wanted to quickly highlight some of the major differences. The increase in eligible vehicles. So not only did we increase our location statewide, we also increased our vehicle classes from class 2B through class now 8 to expand into that heavy duty space. The purchaser must be the vehicle owner. So those financing, leasing, sales processes will remain the same from phase 1 to phase 2. But still they are, the purchaser needs to be the owner of the vehicle when the application is submitted. Expirations are changed a little bit from phase 1 to phase 2, which I'll go into a little more detail later. We adjusted some of our bonuses. We removed the scrappage and driver readiness bonus and added our environmental justice community bonus. And then we added a school bus bonus. We also increased the caps from $1.5 million per EIN to $3 million per EIN. And finally, a lot of the learnings from phase 1, NJZIP realized that we needed a technical assistance provider to better support a lot of our applicants. So I'm going to hand it over to them to talk about the program at this time. Miriam.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Olivia. Hello, everyone. Happy to introduce myself. My name is Miriam Salerno. I work at the Vouchers Transportation Center at Rutgers University. I have my colleague Jessica Tixey with me today, and we're going to be staffing the new NJZIP help desk, partnering with EDA for this. And the purpose of the help desk is to really assist you as purchasers with the application process and provide assistance with planning for electric vehicle ownership. Anything from what it's like to own an electric vehicle to making sure that you have all of the paperwork that you need for your applications, answering your questions. As you know, we know this is a pilot program, so we're not we haven't scripted out exactly what we're going to provide, but we're here to provide everything, what you need as you move along through the process. So we're going to do some live information sessions. We're building out a resource website with webinars on different topics related to electric vehicle ownership, fact sheets, frequently asked questions, and we'll be developing some case studies and other short informational videos for you. Our help desk is going to be available via telephone and email, and soon we'll have the ability for you all to text us, which I know as business owners, you're not always in front of a computer or at a desk, you're on your mobile phones a lot. So we're going to have a text feature available. You can text us your questions. Go to the next slide. Great. So here's just some of the topics that we plan to cover on the help desk. We're going to have personalized technical assistance, which will help you to determine which kinds of vehicles might be best suited to your business's needs, understanding the costs of purchasing and operating electric vehicles, identifying charging infrastructure, so understanding, what the difference is between relying on public charging versus having charging available at your business, and how, what your needs might be based on how your business operates, and then generally understanding electric vehicle fleet operations and adapting your behavior from having a regular combustion engine vehicle to an electric vehicle. We're also going to be providing procedural assistance. So this is, anything related to navigating the application portal, securing necessary certifications, answering any questions that you may have as you're going through the process through NJEDA. So there's requirements for registering your vehicle, insuring your vehicles. We can help review draft application forms and make sure you have everything that you need. So as I mentioned, we're just getting our help desk up and running. Our help desk will be live starting in mid-April when the application opens. We have a website that we're setting up. It's hosted on our Vouchers Transportation Center site at Rutgers. So you can see the site there, rutgers.edu/NJZIP. And that's where we'll have resources, short videos, Q&A fact sheets, all the materials that we're developing over the course of this phase 2 pilot program will be housed there. You can reach us via email, njzip-help@rutgers.edu, and the help desk phone number is listed right here. This phone number is not live yet. It will go live when the application opens, but keep it handy because you'll hopefully reach out to us so we can help make sure that your application process runs smoothly. Really, we are here to both support you as the purchasers and support NJEDA and make sure that we can get as many of you through this application process as quickly as possible and make sure that you really understand, what electric vehicle ownership looks like so that you can get the most out of your newly purchased electric vehicles. So I just want to introduce my colleague, Jessica. She's here on the webinar. She's going to be one of the principal staff members working the help desk. So you will probably talk to her at some point. She'll be doing all of the intake for anyone reaching out to the help desk. So remember her name and her face, and hopefully we will see some of you soon to help you through the application process.
Thanks,
Olivia,
Marianne.
back to you.
Yep. All right, let's get started. Okay. So we know folks are eager to apply, but for any avoidance of doubt, businesses and institutions that are in good standing with the state of New Jersey are eligible to apply. We'll know that you are both registered and in good standing by a valid New Jersey tax clearance certificate. We define institutions as nonprofits or organizations run for public purpose, up to county government, but not state government. Vehicles can be leased or rented, but the actual purchaser needs to be the buyer and required to be responsible for the compliance pieces of the program, which include registering and operating your vehicle for 75% of your vehicle miles traveled for at least 3 years after the voucher disbursement. Now, approved vendors applied in the fall of 2022, and that list is on our website under the vendor and vehicle tab. But an approved vendor is someone who sells eligible vehicles. They had at least 12 months of experience. The vendor can be exclusively a seller or can manufacture the vehicle, but also sells directly to customers. They agreed to the voucher terms, which includes selling the vehicle to you as the purchaser and getting reimbursed for that voucher through the EDA. So as I said earlier, the program now supports medium and heavy duty vehicles from class 2B through now class 8. Our class 2B through class 6 voucher amounts are slightly less from phase 1 because we removed the embedded EJ bonus. Any vehicle in these classes can qualify as long as they're able to be registered as a vehicle with the state, and specialty vehicles have always been eligible for our program. Now we have bonuses to increase your base voucher value. A small business bonus, certified woman, minority, or veteran-owned business bonus is through our state certifications. We also have an EJ bonus, which means for any small business applicant or municipality who commits to driving 50% or more of their miles in a New Jersey overburdened community will receive an additional 10% bonus on top of that base voucher value. We have a New Jersey manufacturing bonus for any purchaser. This will increase the voucher amount by 25% if your vendor can show that by cost of the vehicle has been produced in New Jersey. And then we also have a school bus bonus. So your application will receive an additional 25% increase if a purchaser is purchasing a school bus. And keep in mind, all these bonuses are percentage based. So if you were involved in phase 1, some were base dollar amounts, but these are all percentage based now. So it could impact any math you did. Right. Now the voucher is capped at the vehicle cost and does not include charging infrastructure or other costs associated with your vehicle purchase. Any applicant can apply for multiple vehicles up until that $3 million cap per EIN. A phase 1 applicant is not subject to a phase 2 cap. You're eligible for the full $3 million cap. It's a first come first served voucher program with the vouchers reserved for 12 months after approval with an up to 6-month extension. Okay. Now here's an example of a voucher calculation. So your vendor is a New Jersey manufacturer selling one class 5 vehicle to a woman-owned small business. The quote is for a $210,000 vehicle and charging is not included. The base voucher amount for a class 5 vehicle is $75,000. Then we're adding up the small business bonus increase, we're adding up the 25% manufacturing bonus and the woman-owned business bonus to give you a total voucher amount of $115,500. Now the upfront cost to the purchaser is now reduced to $94,500 with the voucher. So that payment for the remainder of the cost is between the purchaser and the vendor. The EDA really does not dictate the terms of this agreement, whether it's financing or leasing structures. our agreement and the applicant who applies to the program obviously must be the name who appears on the registration. And then the payment of that remainder of the vehicle cost will now be redeemed with the vendor at time of disbursement. All right, now we're going to get to the good stuff, which is how do you actually apply for the program? I'm going to take a drink of water. All right. So this slide is a quick overview. There's both a vendor and purchaser README and walkthrough to have out while you're doing the application. I think it'll be really helpful while you're walking through it. But as an overview, the goal of the program has always been to be connecting purchasers and vendors outside of the application portal. So step one is the buyer is selecting an eligible vendor, be it several factors, including price, use case, class type, etc. And then the vendor and the purchaser work together to procure a quote or contingent PO. Now, the biggest change from phase one is that the vendor now starts the application for the purchaser, filling out relevant vehicle information and any purchaser specific deviations from those standard documents that they use to apply with their application. The buyer will receive an email notification when the vendor portion is complete, and then the buyer will complete the EDA's common application and then fill out our legal debarment questionnaire and then pay the fee and submit. Now, this is critical. The handoff between vendor and buyer is through one email. So purchasers, you need to make sure that you have access to this email, and you're also giving the vendor the email that is accurate so that they can put in their application correctly so that the handoff is really smooth. Now, if any vendors are on the line, you will have access to start the purchaser application through your vendor application. So you see here, you click your phase two application, and then you start the purchaser application. Now, then the selected vendor, you'll put in the organization name, email address for the purchaser. And this is what I'm talking about, really needs to be accurate so that the application link can be sent over to the purchaser. Then you'll input all the relevant vehicle documents, including the proof of intent to purchase, delivery plan, and any deviation from those standard documents that you submitted. Then at that point, it's handed off to the purchaser. So we're anticipating that front loading a lot of these documents like the in-state maintenance plan, the vehicle warranty, and the charging plan with the vendor application will decrease the documents for the purchaser application and hopefully decrease turnaround time on our applications. So then purchaser, you will receive the application via email. While your vendor is inputting your application information, if you do not have access to the EDA application portal, an email will be sent to you to sign up. So you must register on the application portal, which is one account for all EDA applications. So again, be mindful of that email and password that you use. So once you're in, you'll be able to go to NJZIP purchaser applicant list page, and you'll see your common application here. And then that was already created by the vendor and ready for you to complete and submit. The status is here. We'll show you if it's with the vendor, with you, or if it's submitted. So if it's in process, it's with your vendor. If it's in process full application, it's ready for you to complete your common application and submit. And then when it says submitted, you know it's now in the EDA's queue. All right, so then you will start to answer the EDA's common application pages, which you'll be able to add, multiple contacts, your media representation, accounting, legal, your CEO. You'll be able to put in your contact information, address, your DE&I information, a business description, and then you'll be able to submit your tax clearance at this time. And then you'll be able to move on to the program specific and vehicle related documents. So any of these highlighted vehicle records are where your vendor submitted on behalf of you, and you need to put more of your information in, specifically around vehicle use and some compliance information. So when it's highlighted, that means it's waiting for you. And then when you click on it and fill out the relevant information, it won't be highlighted anymore. And then you'll be able to move on and upload the remainder of the documents. So this is a good side-by-side comparison of what your vendor submitted on behalf of your application versus what you need to submit. So the vendor is going to submit that proof of intent to purchase, any deviation from those standard documents, and a vehicle delivery plan to make sure that they're submitting it within the 12-month time frame of your voucher term. Keep in mind, the goal is that the vendors are using those standard documents that they submitted on behalf of their application. So it's possible that the vendor is only submitting a proof of intent to purchase and a vehicle delivery plan for your application. And then what you need to submit is that New Jersey tax clearance, a minority women veteran-owned business certification, if applicable. You need to submit proof of location in which you'll be registering and primarily operating the vehicle. And then you'll also need to submit small business documentation, if applicable, which would be staff count and annual revenue, to show that you have less than 25 employees or less than $5 million in annual revenue. Now, before you move on to some of our legal debarment questionnaires, there is an opportunity to send the application back to the vendor if you find something not accurate or incorrect. So you'll be able to say, no, this doesn't look right, with some comments, and you'll be able to send it back to the vendor. Vendor, at that time, you'll receive an email with the comments and say, something's not right, and you'll be able to edit the application, then send it back to the purchaser to review, and then finally submit once everything is correct. All right, then purchaser, you'll complete the legal debarment. And then we also added the certificate of non-involvement. We digitized it since phase 1, so you'll be able to sign right in the application. And then you'll pay the application fee, which we are offering a hardship waiver fee of a reduced fee to $500, but that will be all embedded within the application. So we won't be accepting any hardship waiver requests via email. And then we'll review it on the back end. So once submitted, we'll review, and if approved, it moves to our closing department, where each buyer will need to sign a contract with their selected vendor, and then the voucher funding is reserved for 12 months. Then once the vehicle is delivered and registered, the vendor can submit a request for disbursement for that voucher amount. And then the buyer is on the hook for the 3-year compliance period. All right, and then the last couple of slides here are just, to summarize the application process and the information to have before you apply. So you need your account information, that you need that portal access. You need your organization's basic entity information. Definitely need that tax clearance that lists the agency as the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. You need to be talking to your vendor and decide what vehicle, make, and model you want, how many of them you want to purchase. You need that quo or PO. You need to submit that proof of location, and you need to tell us what the vehicle use is going to be. And then if applicable, we'll need those small business documents. We'll need the woman, minority, or veteran-owned state certification. And if you're replacing a vehicle, we do ask for you to tell us what kind of vehicle you're replacing it with so we can track those greenhouse gas emission reductions. And then finally, to submit, the vendor will complete their part, and then you'll be able to go in, sign all your documents, and then pay the application fee, and then submit. So then the last few slides, we have links that are embedded that you can look at later. Again, keep in mind, we have now Rutgers here to help, but we are definitely not the main point of contact. We from our past experience, we know that you need to make the initial contact with the relevant state agency to get these documents. And then we're here to be supportive and help go through this process. And then this is the NJZIP website where you can bookmark. So we add all of our information there. And then the links to apply when the application goes live on April 18th. Now I guess we'll take any questions. I'll stop sharing. How's the Q&A looking?
Yeah, it's looking good. There's some questions in the Q&A that we did not answer. So I don't know if you want to try to go through some of those. There were some things that I did not have answers to.
All right. Well, sorry, Angie. So how long does it take to hear back or get approved once the application has been submitted? I think, that that depends on, you know, what your completed application looks like, if there needs to be conversations back and forth. Ideally, it would be a quick process if everything was submitted in good order.
Great.
And then, are any vendors on state contract? I don't know if this is related to any like municipalities or schools that are looking to apply. Eligible vendors, eligible and approved vendors for our program don't need to be on a state contract list. But I understand for some of our municipalities that they might have to be required to be on that list, but not program specific. Okay. Wire vehicle leasing. Yeah, I'm not sure about the leasing question. I might need to look into that. So all vendors applied. We had about 32 vendors apply in October. We're still working through some reviews. So there's still 8 remaining that haven't been approved yet. And so we are adding to that list and adding to the vehicle list as well. So there we are still adding more vendors to the list. Let's see. Funds are reserved at buyer application submission. So it needs to be, the status needs to say submitted. The vendor is just starting the application on behalf of the purchaser. We're hoping that alleviates some of that handoff that happened in phase 1.
Olivia, if I can hop in real quick, can you go ahead and read the question before answering it? Yeah, so that just to reiterate to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone asked, in a dynamic where there's an OEM and a dealer, who's the vendor in order to initiate the application? The OEM as a vendor or the dealership as a vendor? So whoever applied to be eligible as the vendor in the program, we have both dealers and vendors that have been approved as eligible. So whoever applied in the program will have to initiate the application for you. Can we use more than one vendor? Oh, where'd it go? Can we use more than one vendor if they don't have all the vehicles we wish to purchase? You'll be able to do that only through 2 applications. So one, you can't apply in the same application with multiple vendors, but you can apply separately until you meet the cap, but you would be subject to an additional application fee. I see the proof, there's a couple proof of location questions. Proof of location, we're using the same documents that the Motor Vehicle Commission uses. So whether it's like a lease or utility bill or something like that, that shows that your business is at that location. Questions in here. Okay. Also, how do I find out about the EJ bonus? So we're using the overburden community list that the DEP puts out, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection puts out. And so if your community is on that list, you'd be eligible for the bonus as a small business or municipality. Okay. You will need to, okay. I completed my application and was approved for phase, oh, where'd it go? Was approved for phase 1. However, I didn't submit the 500. Do I need to reapply? Yeah, we're completely separating phase 1 from phase 2. So if you had an application in process, phase 1, you will need to start a new application for phase 2. The vehicle list is already on the website. So I see some questions on there. The application fee is not refundable. And I know Jake said it in the beginning. I see like we're just getting a lot more questions. When there's, you know, we'll go through these questions, and when there's, you know, frequently the same question, we will post them in our FAQs on the website. And, you know, Rutgers will also take these into account when they're working through their program requirements. So. You know, I see a question here. How do we make sure the vendor is going to submit our application on the 18th, or do we fill in the Common App first? Your vendor does have to submit the application first. So again, we want to establish those relationships outside of the application portal. So you should be working together between now and April 18th, sort of discuss, you know, business needs and what kind of vehicles you want, so that they have everything ready to go, so they're able to submit their piece and get you started. There's like so many questions in here. I'm not sure if there's a good way to just like keep going through these, or
I'm trying to answer some, like
I know,
typing as I go, I'm scanning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I see one that says, I thought you didn't need a minority certificate. Only if you're applying for that bonus. You don't need it in order to apply for the program, but if you wanted the bonus, you have to.
There's a bunch of people asking where the approved vendors are. So maybe just restate that, Olivia, where they can find the vendors, because there's a number of those in the Q&A chat.
It's on our njeda.com/njzip website. The tab is vendors and vehicles.
So, I asked Alberto to promote me so I can speak to, there's some questions about the vehicles that qualify. So the graphic chart that's on the PowerPoint shows the federal classifications. Our program starts with class 2B, which is a vehicle with a gross vehicle weight on road rating of 8,501 pounds. And it goes through a class 8 vehicle, which is an up to 80,000 pounds gross weight rating. For any given vehicle, you can look on the sticker that's inside the driver's door, and it will show the vehicle gross weight rating on that sticker. It's the same place you look for the tire pressure information for your vehicle. In general, things that are used as passenger vehicles, so cars and smaller vans and things, do not meet that gross weight rating, but you can check it on any vehicle by looking at the sticker, or ask the dealer that you're working with, and they should be able to help you.
Thank you, Erica.
There's a question here, Olivia, about whether a vehicle can be pre-owned or it has to be new.
It has to be new. I saw a couple more. The application, the full application opens on April 18th. So vendors will not be able to apply beforehand. I think there's almost like too many for me to answer.
Yeah, I mean, what we can do,
Yeah.
Olivia, is we can download the questions and, you know, make sure everything was answered, and then it can be posted as a Q&A. And if
Absolutely.
anyone didn't get their question answered, they can also, email the help desk once that goes live, and we'll be happy to answer their questions or help them field it. But yeah, there is a lot coming in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And just a reminder to any participants here, if you didn't have your question answered, you can email njzip@njeda.com. Someone will get back to you. We want to thank you for joining today's session. And as a reminder, we will also take the unanswered questions from today's webinar and post them as an FAQ on the website. So once again, thank everyone here very much for joining. Have a great afternoon, everyone.